Do you feel that unease in your spirit today? The subtle stirring that makes your heart beat faster and your mind race with questions about the days ahead? God sees this, and He is speaking directly to you in a voice that will both startle and comfort you, saying, "This is surprising news about you. A big problem is coming." And yet, in the very same breath, He is revealing the hidden purpose behind the challenge that approaches. For every storm carries a lesson, every obstacle hides a blessing, and every trial is meant to elevate you to a higher place than you have ever known before. Do not be alarmed, for the Almighty God who commands the universe, who holds the stars in His hands and knows the number of hairs on your head, is also the God who sees your heart, who knows your struggles, and who has already prepared the solution even before the problem has arrived. The problem that is coming is not meant to destroy you, but it is meant to refine you. It is not meant to overwhelm you, but it is meant to awaken within you a strength you never realized you possessed, a courage that will make even the fiercest opposition bow before the power of God working in your life. This problem may come in the form of finances that suddenly seem impossible to manage, relationships that are tested beyond what you thought you could endure, health challenges that make you question your own strength, or emotional burdens that feel heavier than your shoulders can carry. Yet God is reminding you today that He has already sent angels to guard you, strategies to guide you, and breakthroughs that will come so suddenly that even the people who doubted you will be left speechless and in awe of God's power. It is surprising news because you may not have expected it, you may not have asked for it, and yet this problem is coming precisely because God is positioning you for something greater than you could have imagined, because He sees the trajectory of your life, and He knows that the only way to prepare you for the next level, the only way to build the character that will sustain the victories that are already written in your favor, is to allow this challenge to pass through your hands and through your heart. God is saying to you today that this is not the end of your story. It is not a defeat. It is not a delay of His promises, but rather a divine invitation to step into faith, to trust in His timing, and to lean entirely on the wisdom, the provision, and the protection that only He can provide. Do not panic when you hear that a big problem is coming, for God is not abandoning you. In fact, He is orchestrating the circumstances in such a way that even what seems like chaos will become the very stage upon which your miracle will unfold. He says to you, "Child, pay attention, for I am opening your eyes to what others cannot see. I am preparing your heart for the revelation that this problem is not as it appears. What seems to be a burden is actually a breakthrough in disguise. What seems to be a setback is actually a setup for something far greater than you could have planned or imagined. What seems to be a door closing is actually the alignment of a door opening that will take you into a season of unprecedented favor, abundance, and joy." The surprising part of this news is not the problem itself, but the revelation that God is already ahead of it, that He has already mapped out the solution, that He has already empowered you with the gifts, the wisdom, and the discernment to not only survive the challenge, but to rise above it in such a way that your testimony will inspire generations, that your breakthrough will cause those who mocked, doubted, or opposed you to marvel at the goodness of God, and that your life will become a living declaration of God's faithfulness to all who encounter you. You may be thinking, "But God, how can this be? I am tired, I am weary, I have given so much, I have prayed so long, I have hoped in silence, and now I am being told a big problem is coming?" Yes, He says, precisely because you have endured, precisely because you have not given up, precisely because you have remained faithful in the unseen and in the small things, the enemy is aware of your potential. The enemy knows the weight of the assignment upon your life, and the enemy is mobilizing. But God is saying today, "Fear not, for I am greater, I am stronger, and I am moving on your behalf even as you read these words. The problem may knock, it may challenge, it may even intimidate, but it will not overcome. For I have placed my hand upon you, I have encircled you with protection, and I have assigned my angels to fight for you in ways you cannot even comprehend." This problem is coming as a test, as a teacher, as a refining fire, but God is promising that it will not consume you, it will not define you, it will not destroy your hope. In fact, this problem will reveal the depth of your faith, the strength of your character, the resilience of your spirit, and the unwavering power of God working through you. He says, be ready, for the way you respond to this challenge will determine the magnitude of your breakthrough. Do not shrink back. Do not despair. Do not let fear dictate your steps. Instead, rise with courage, step with confidence, and declare victory even before you see the outcome. For faith in me will cause the impossible to become possible, the delayed to arrive, the broken to be restored, and the lost to be found.
It is surprising news because you were expecting a smooth path, a quiet season, a life free from struggle. But God is reminding you that the true treasures of life, the deepest victories, and the most profound testimonies always come after a battle, always come after perseverance, always come after a problem that seems insurmountable, but is, in reality, a divine tool to elevate you into the fullness of your purpose. He is saying to you, do not be afraid of what is coming, for the problem is temporary, the test is limited, and the provision, the promotion, the miracle, and the favor that are coming after will be eternal and abundant. Prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and practically, for the best of your life is waiting on the other side of this challenge. Do not rush the process. Do not resent the difficulty. Do not question my timing. For everything I allow in your life is orchestrated to build you up, to strengthen your faith, to prepare you for greater works, and to make you a testimony of my glory. God is saying today, I am with you in this. I am moving with you in this. I am fighting for you in this. You are not alone. The problem may feel overwhelming, but my power is limitless. My wisdom is infinite. My love is unconditional, and my promises are unshakable. Keep your heart steadfast. Keep your eyes fixed on me. Keep your words aligned with my truth, and keep your actions rooted in faith. Because the same God who has promised will also deliver. The same God who has spoken will also act. And the same God who has placed a vision in your heart will ensure that it comes to fruition in His perfect timing. Even as the news of a big problem may come as a surprise, God is giving you advance notice so that you may prepare, so that you may strengthen your spirit, so that you may rise above fear, and so that you may walk into the challenge with confidence, knowing that the outcome is already determined by the hand of the Almighty, who cannot fail, who does not sleep, and who watches over you with tender care, knowing every tear, every sleepless night, every prayer, every hope, and every desire of your heart. So do not despair, do not doubt, do not succumb to panic, because God is saying, this is surprising news about you. Yes, a problem is coming, but greater is coming after it. Prepare for a season of breakthroughs, favor, restoration, healing, joy, and victory. The problem will serve to launch you into a place of influence, abundance, and testimony that you could never reach without it. The enemy intends harm, but I intend good. The enemy intends delay, but I intend acceleration. The enemy intends despair, but I intend hope. The enemy intends opposition, but I intend victory. And all of this is for your good, your growth, and my glory. Let this message sink into your heart deeply today. Let it awaken faith in your spirit that no problem, no matter how large or unexpected, can overpower the God who is already fighting for you, who is already providing for you, who is already guiding you, and who is already moving in your life in ways that will astonish you, your family, and even those who doubted or opposed you. Rejoice, for the problem that is coming is only the prelude to a blessing that will surpass your imagination, a victory that will exceed your expectations, and the joy that will overflow into every area of your life. Take heart, take faith, and take action with God's wisdom, because the surprising news is that you are not alone, you are not unprepared, and you are about to see the miraculous hand of God move in ways that will leave you, your loved ones, and all who witness it speechless, in awe, and full of praise for the one who never fails, never sleeps, and never abandons those who put their trust in Him.
God says to you today that the big problem that is approaching may look frightening in the natural. It may feel overwhelming in your emotions, and it may seem impossible from the perspective of your human understanding. Yet, He is reminding you that nothing in this life, not even the fiercest trials or the most cunning opposition, can outmaneuver the plans of the Almighty. For He is orchestrating every detail, every encounter, every circumstance, and every moment in such a way that the problem itself becomes the very vehicle for your breakthrough, the very instrument for your elevation, and the very catalyst for the manifestation of the dreams, visions, and promises that He has long placed in your heart, even before the foundations of the world were laid. This is why He urges you not to shrink back in fear, not to panic in uncertainty, and not to become paralyzed by anxiety, because He is already moving strategically behind the scenes, aligning doors that you have yet to see, preparing opportunities that you cannot yet comprehend, and orchestrating encounters with people, situations, and resources that will serve as the exact solution to the problem before it even fully manifests. And He says to you now, do not despise the moment of preparation. Do not ignore the season of waiting, and do not belittle the tests of the present. For these are the very processes through which I am crafting your destiny, shaping your character, and establishing the testimony that will echo far beyond your own expectations and circumstances. God continues to say that the problem is coming not to punish you, not to defeat you, not to destroy your peace, and not to rob you of your joy, but rather to awaken a greater faith within you, to strengthen your resolve, to clarify your priorities, and to bring you into a place of divine reliance upon Him, where the trust you develop will become the foundation of your miraculous victories, the unshakable platform upon which your future blessings will stand, and the very hallmark of your testimony that will inspire generations and glorify the name of the Lord in ways that will be impossible to ignore, impossible to deny, and impossible to contain. He is saying that the surprise in this news is not the difficulty of the problem itself, but the revelation that you have been chosen to walk through this challenge with supernatural favor, to experience divine intervention, and to witness firsthand the power of God working on your behalf, even before you can see it, even before you feel it, and even before the solution appears in the natural realm. And that as the problem begins to unfold, you will notice divine patterns, unexpected resources, sudden alignments, and miraculous encounters that confirm beyond any shadow of doubt that God has not only seen you through your past struggles, but He is also actively shaping your present circumstances for the fulfillment of your future. And He says to you now, do not despise the moment of preparation, do not ignore the season of waiting, and do not belittle the tests of the present. For these are the very processes through which I am crafting your destiny, shaping your character, and establishing the testimony that will echo far beyond your own expectations and circumstances.
Furthermore, God is saying to you today that this problem will test your patience, it will test your faith, and it will test your endurance. But the very act of enduring it with trust, with hope, and with steadfast belief in His goodness will cause the magnitude of the resulting blessings to far exceed what you could have hoped for, imagined, or even prayed for. And that every tear you have shed, every sleepless night, every anxious thought, and every moment of uncertainty will be transformed into fuel for your breakthrough, energy for your elevation,
and testimony for the glory of God, so that when the storm passes, not only will you have emerged victorious, but your life will serve as a living declaration of God's faithfulness to all who witness it. He wants you to know that, even in moments when the problem seems too big, the opposition seems too strong, or the circumstances appear to be beyond repair, He is still moving, He is still working, and He is still orchestrating a perfect solution that aligns with your purpose, your calling, and the promises He has spoken over your life. And that as you hold fast to Him, as you trust in His wisdom, and as you refuse to allow fear or doubt to dictate your actions, you will begin to see the unfolding of a plan so intricate, so precise, and so miraculous that even those who have doubted your journey will be compelled to acknowledge that this is the work of God, and that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop the manifestation of His will in your life. God also says that the surprise in this news lies in the fact that the problem, which may feel like a delay, a burden, or an attack, is actually a necessary step to bring you into alignment with the fullness of your destiny, to position you for opportunities that would have been impossible without it, and to prepare your heart, mind, and spirit to receive blessings, promotion, favor, and divine provision that exceed your natural understanding. And that when you finally walk through this season, you will not only survive, but you will thrive, prosper, and ascend into a place where the fullness of God's plan for your life becomes visible, tangible, and undeniably real, leaving no room for doubt, no room for fear, and no room for despair. In conclusion, God wants you to hear and to believe with every fiber of your being that the surprising news about you is that a big problem is indeed coming, but that this problem is not the end, it is not a punishment, it is not a reflection of weakness, and it is not a signal of defeat. Instead, it is the very instrument through which He will demonstrate His power, His favor, His provision, His protection, and His glory, and that by trusting Him, by keeping your eyes on His promises, by walking in faith rather than fear, and by responding with courage, wisdom, and perseverance, you will see the miraculous hand of God move in ways that will astonish you, inspire others, and bring honor to His name. And that when the dust settles, when the challenge has passed, and when the victory is fully realized, you will look back and realize that the problem that once seemed so daunting was in fact the very thing that propelled you into the highest, most blessed, and most extraordinary season of your life. For with God, even a problem becomes the pathway to greatness, the stepping stone to victory, and the confirmation of His limitless power, love, and faithfulness over your life.
God is speaking to you today, saying that even though the problem appears to be massive, unavoidable, and threatening from the human perspective, in reality, it has been carefully placed on your path by divine design, not as a punishment, not as a deterrent, and not as a reflection of failure, but as a necessary instrument to awaken your faith, sharpen your focus, stretch your endurance, and prepare you for the magnitude of blessings, promotion, favor, and supernatural breakthroughs that He has already assigned to you. And that the very thing which appears to be an obstacle is in fact the very channel through which God is ready to reveal His power, His wisdom, and His unshakable goodness, so that when you finally emerge on the other side of this problem, you will not only have survived, you will have been strengthened, elevated, and equipped to handle an even greater level of responsibility, influence, and divine abundance, and that every tear, every moment of despair, and every sleepless night will be converted into a testimony of His faithfulness that will encourage, inspire, and uplift others who are watching, waiting, and praying for their own miracles. Furthermore, God is saying that the surprise in this situation is not the problem itself, but the sudden, unexpected, and undeniable solution that is coming directly from Him, arriving at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and from the perfect source, so that all who see it will recognize that this is the hand of God and not the work of human effort, coincidence, or luck, and that as you continue to trust,
Continue to pray, continue to walk in obedience, and continue to maintain a heart of gratitude. You will witness events, circumstances, and divine interventions unfold that will far surpass anything you could have imagined, planned, or hoped for. And that the very problem which initially caused fear, anxiety, and doubt will become a vehicle for your elevation, a stage for your victory, and a platform from which your testimony will shine brightly to glorify the name of God, leaving no room for despair and no doubt about His limitless power. God is also reminding you today that the approach of this big problem is a test, not a termination, a challenge, not a cancellation, and a divine preparation, not a destruction, and that as you face it with faith, patience, and endurance, you will be gradually strengthened, spiritually fortified, and strategically positioned to receive the abundance, provision, and supernatural favor that He has already set aside for you, and that the unfolding of this problem is carefully orchestrated in such a way that every delay, every difficulty, every disappointment, and every seemingly insurmountable circumstance is perfectly aligned to ensure that your victory is not only guaranteed, but also monumental, transformative, and life-changing, leaving a legacy of faith and divine favor for generations to come. And God is saying to you, do not fear, do not panic, and do not despair, for I am with you, I am working for you, and I will turn every situation in your favor, even before you can see it, feel it, or comprehend it fully. God is declaring that the surprising news about you is that this problem, though seemingly large and challenging, is actually a divine setup for your promotion, your elevation, and your testimony, and that the very forces that appear to oppose you are in fact being used by God to bring about your strategic positioning, your recognition, and your preparation for the next chapter of supernatural favor, financial increase, spiritual elevation, and personal fulfillment. And that as you navigate this season with faith, hope, and a steadfast heart, you will begin to notice divine patterns, supernatural coincidences, and providential moments that confirm beyond any doubt that the hand of God is actively at work on your behalf, and that the solution to the problem will arrive in a way so extraordinary, so timely, and so miraculous that even those who doubted your journey will be forced to acknowledge the reality of God's power, provision, and faithfulness in your life.